Hello and welcome to Cal State University San Bernardino Campus Live in Studio 54, Lead Affiliate Program. Welcome to Cafecito con. A show that embraces the stories of womanhood through the ages. We are your hosts, Delila, Stephanie, and Rosa, a team of 3 intergenerational women, bringing you conversations about the diverse experiences and perspectives of women across generations. We want to reclaim our spaces of conversation about each other. We are not gossiping or chismeando, we are compartiendo, as in sharing our stories.
We call our talks Cafecito con, to have an open forum for a variety of conversations, from the trailblazers who paved the way to the emerging voices shaping our future. We'll explore the threads that connect us and the empowerment that comes from sharing these conversations. We want to share a cup of love and create spaces for womanhood to chat, to learn, to grow, and we hope to build a multi-generational community, one story at a time. We hope you'll join us as we talk about life, business, hopes, faith, and dreams. At least that's our dream.
And go ahead. Start.
Hello, so here we are having a conversation with a very dear friend of mine. Thank you for saying yes. It is always an experience to bring our hosts and to get to know them and introduce you to the world. So thank you, Lucy, for saying yes, being with us. And I think we're going to start with asking you straight up, who's Lucy?
All right. Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Lucy, and I'm the owner of Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint. We are a collision repair center in the Inland Empire. We have 2 locations, Riverside and Moreno Valley. I am a mom, a wife, a daughter, a mentor, and a friend. So I do fill in various shoes, and of course, I'm just excited to be here and just be a part of this program.
I think a big thing there was business owner, right? Like
And the
entrepreneur.
kind of business she owns.
Auto bodies. Yeah, that's really
How many
interesting.
women do you see there?
No, I think this is really interesting.
Yes, we're I'm a woman in a male-dominated industry, which it comes with its challenges. However, it's pretty fun, I would say. Just being able to just maneuver into that field and try to do the best at using your person as a female and just to be able to break ground and know that, hey, she can do it and other women can.
Now, without having to embarrass you or putting you on the spot, how young, or can you say approximately, how young were you when you started in this business? Because I think that's important.
Yes. My actual age was 22 when we started the business. It was my husband and I. He wanted to have a business. I wanted to have a business. I was currently going to school for business. And just knowing his talent, I just ran with it. And I said, we're going to open a business and we're going to make this happen. And he worked for doing a custom painting for Harley Davidson. And I was already in the somewhat automotive industry through my high school business academy, where we had a small business and it had to do with automotive. I was a vice president at the time, and I ran that with, of course, the rest of the students there. And I didn't know a lot about business. I didn't know a lot about vehicles. However, I knew that I could expand any business just by knowing how to function or how to be able to put a business together. So, and I actually attended also after high school. I came to Cal State San Bernardino, where I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in human resources and management. So, a lot of education.
That's great, we got an alumni here.
Oh, yeah, she's at home.
So, I love being here, actually.
Yeah, that's really great that you've been able to do something with your husband.
Yes.
Like it's a family business at this point.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And it became like a team effort. It's not just like an I thing, right?
Right. Yeah. We always say that I'm the face of it. We both work really hard. When there was tough times, I would say in the beginning, and I felt very discouraged, he would encourage me. And whenever he felt discouraged, I would encourage him. So it does have a lot of pros to be able to have that power partner with you to be able to grow something that's at the time we're not able to see the positive outcomes because everything is against us. However, to be able to have each other was huge. It was very vital at the time. We were able to encourage each other, and just all of his background and my background put together was just something that we were able to put together and make it grow.
You know, it's really interesting how you phrase it and how you share it for a lot of businesses. And I live in that world, right? Helping and trying to facilitate the progress of small businesses. But for a lot of small business owners, their marriage suffers
Mhm.
because they don't know how to balance it, right? Or it's a tough call to be able to balance the business life and the home life, particularly when you're all in the same arena all the time,
That is
right?
very true.
What do you think made a difference for you?
There was times that we did not know how to separate business and personal. We did have our challenges. We always sought counsel outside of our business. So one thing that I do recommend is always have a consultant, a business consultant. We always had one. We rarely ever try to do it on our own because we knew that we needed that accountability as business owners, and the fact that we were so young, we could get very complacent very easily. So one thing that I remember one of our coaches explaining to us was that we had to know when once 5 o'clock hit going home, we did not talk business. And it was very hard because in my mind, it was like, no, but I still have to tell you this, and this. But what we ended up doing is setting time for that. Because if not, it was going to get messy. And we did see how when we broke that rule, that it did get messy in our conversation. So we had to be very intentional. So at work is work. Whatever challenges we're dealing with, we're gonna have to speak about them at this time. And of course, whatever was an emergency, we had to talk about it at the moment. But when it was home, he was a man of the house. He was the father to my kids, and the roles changed. I was no longer the boss per se. I wasn't calling the shots or doing anything like that at home because I had to know that as his wife, I had to be more submissive and be very careful not to remove that authority as a husband over our home. And our kids were able to see that as well, which was one of the biggest reasons why we were very careful on doing things the way we were doing it, because we didn't want our kids to think, oh, dad doesn't have a say. Mom is the one that makes all the decisions. Or just create an environment where my kids were like, I hate that you guys have a business because you guys are always arguing. Or we didn't want any of that. So we were very careful and very intentional in our time with our kids, in our time at the business, and of course our time together.
Yeah. No, and I've known you for a little while. I mean, our relationship stems out from we were part of the National Latina Business Women and the Inland Empire, and we collaborated in forming that organization here. So I've seen you in action. I've seen you talk to business owners, to women and to men, sharing these ideas. And I love that you're comfortable with the rules that you've chosen. You're not saying this is what you have to do, but this is what worked for us.
Right.
Sometimes you can get lost on this is working for me and everyone should do the same thing.
Right.
But that's not you, and that's how you come to the places that you take on to mentor. So tell us a little bit about your mentoring experiences, because you've done young people, mature people, people older than you, younger than you.
I think one of the things that I always told myself is to never stop learning. I always want to make sure that I pour into myself, that way I can pour out to others. Because if I don't have that ability to pour out to others, then what am I really doing? What is my purpose here? Or what is it that I'm going to be able to bring to the table when I make myself present? So that's one thing that I always want to make sure that if I'm going to be of an impact, I want to make sure that I'm a positive impact, that I am able to give my 100%, and I am able to commit. And we all come with a story, and sometimes our story resonates with other people, other women, and sometimes they don't. So we just have to find that soft spot where we can connect with other women, because not every single one of us likes to be vulnerable. Not every single one of us wants to be in a place where we're uncomfortable. So we just have to find that sweet spot to be able to connect to other women and just be that positive outcome in their life. You know, not so much in my life anymore. I always feel like, what can I do for her? How can I better her?
So when you were working, I'm gonna take it back a second. When you were working on the, it's 5 p.m. and now I gotta stop talking about work. Would it look like you about to say something about work and then being like, okay, oh, never mind, it's after 5? Like, is that what it looked like at first? Like, how, like
I'm
sure.
glad you're bringing it back because I wanted to bring it back too.
Yeah, like how does that look? Because like to me, I know me, and I will be talking about work, and I'll usually, and I've done this too because I try, like especially when I'm out of town or something, and I'm at times out of town with friends that are in the same industry, you know, the same people. So then I start talking about it, and then I notice everybody else is kind of like not paying attention. So then it's like me purposely saying, Stephanie, shut up. Just shut up right now and think of a different subject.
Yeah.
How did that work out for you guys trying after 5? Like, what did that look like?
It's honestly, it wasn't easy at first. It wasn't easy because our days would go by so fast that we were always, at least I felt, we were always playing catch up. New employees, new accounts, you know, trying to hire an accountant, in office, out of office. There's so many things that were always happening. The things that we had to talk about, if we had to stay in the office and talk about them after 5, they were in the office, and then of course.
I see. So you kind of like separate, like made it a.
Yes.
We're gonna
I knew that was
physical
now.
separation.
Okay.
Yeah. It had to be a physical
Interesting.
separation.
Yeah, because it can look different for anybody. So I was curious how that really looked.
And I love that you guys created your boundaries. That's a system that worked for you. My husband, we're also business partners, but we also have our full-time jobs. So sometimes when we are having these conversations about work, it's in the evenings, and it's almost like it's almost every evening whenever it comes up. So I'll definitely need to try those boundaries.
Yeah, because do you feel like you're still at work because you're talking like you just got off your full-time job, then you go home, then you're with your husband, and then you have your little side thing with your husband. Does that feel like you're still at work?
Yeah, and I mean it's not easy. We'll have some tense conversations, and then it's like there can be a little bit of a barrier in terms of it's hard to go from, well, I don't feel like you're prioritizing our side hustle enough, and then it's hard to be all nice and like, no, let's watch this movie and cuddle next to each other. You know?
Right.
So we're still working on that.
Because you want to do both, obviously.
Yeah. One thing that I could say that we do that's very it's honestly it was a game changer was date nights. One day out of the week, my husband and I leave completely by ourselves. I literally take a little notepad or on my phone and things that I want to talk to him about. And because I have his full attention. Sometimes when we're at home, the kids are like, you know, taking our attention, or I really have to make dinner. So like, just wait. Let me finish this. So I have this, let me focus, let me do this, let me do that. So because we are women that multitask and have so much going on in our mind, it's always good to have just that one day out of the week where you two connect and just no distractions, just date night. And every single Wednesday, and trust me, you will see a difference.
Yeah.
Your stress level will go down. I mean, everything will change. Everything will change. And that's something that I would definitely recommend on couples. Whether you have a business or you don't, just do date night. Have time for each other where you guys can talk about the kids, about your goals, about your financial goals, about just different things you got. Oh, traveling. Sometimes we talk about traveling.
Maybe even how to support each other in the following week. I've been hearing that's something that's really great to do. It's on my to-do list, just haven't prioritized it enough yet. So I'll make sure to add that at the top of my list now.
Of course. And if you don't have time at night, for my husband and I, it's Cafecito time. Saturday and Sundays, we have this ritual that we get up early, and when we had the kids at the house was before the kids would get up. And we take our cafecito, and now that the kids are all grown, sometimes it takes an hour or two for us to finish our cafecito. But during that time, that's exactly what we're doing. We're talking about our week, how we need to support each other, where is it that the gaps are. Or when you're older enough, reminiscing, remember this, and how great it was, and how thankful we are for the many years that we're having together. So I agree with you. It's very important to create that time and a space where you are nurturing your relationship. It's not about me, it's about us.
Yeah. I'm taking notes over here. I'm the one that's
And
single.
remember, if there is no you two, then there's no business, there's
Right.
no home, there's no family. So we do have, as women, we sometimes have to just grab, a hold of the situation and then just create that environment and just help our husbands, because we're the helpers, to get into position and be able to just allow them to be the best at what they are.
While we're still on this topic, one last question. Do you have any tips as far as communicating, navigating difficult conversations where?
Yes, one thing, same thing, date night. Because when you're in public having a rough conversation, there's no way that you guys are gonna get loud with each other. It's just not gonna happen.
All
It
right.
will stay neutral, and it has to be in a neutral place. It cannot be in your house, it cannot be in your car, it cannot be in a place where you guys are too comfortable. It has to be in a place where it's public, where things won't get out of hand, because there's times that there's gonna be topics that are really hard to talk about, and trust me, the emotions are gonna arise, and you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna walk away. But technically in a restaurant, you're just like, I'm really upset right now, but let's just
You're like,
go to the next subject.
compose
Yeah, I
myself.
can imagine when you have we've had some difficult conversations when it comes to just priorities, for making sure that we're both prioritizing our goals in the same way. But I can't imagine if we're having just these little tough discussions already, how difficult it will be once you have an even bigger business. So
Oh, yeah.
it's not easy. It's not easy, but
Yeah.
looks like you're doing a
Yeah.
fantastic
Taking
job.
really well,
Taking
right?
notes.
So money, sex, and food. They're difficult topics. Each family comes with their own liking in food, and what you cook does not look like what mom did, and that could get tough to talk
But even
about.
with that, you call mom, you call suegra, suegra, how did you do this?
Yeah.
There was many days that I said, okay, how do you do this dish? I need to be able to duplicate that. I won't be able to do it 100%, but I will try my best. One thing for sure is like, when I feel challenged, I'm like, oh no, I better overcome this. I'm not gonna get this done. So yeah,
And it is so funny.
always reach out for help.
Yeah.
It's
I have
very
a funny
important.
story that is not mine. It's my sister's, right? So my brother-in-law would always complain about his enchiladas because he wanted them to be like his mom's. And my sister looked at all kinds of recipes, and she was making the sauce by herself. And then she talked to her mother-in-law. She bought the sauce in the can. Those were the enchiladas that he liked the most.
Oh wow.
So she stopped suffering. She just opened the can. And
Oh,
there
you're
they
smiling.
are.
That's great.
The problem fixed.
Right?
So
yeah.
So how did you get? You just made a comment that you ask for help. You go out there and you ask for help if you need it. How did you get to that point? Because I also heard that you were part of a little business program you mentioned, I think prior. So like I'm kind of curious, what got you into that little business program, and also what allowed you the space to ask for help? Because I feel like there's still a lot of women out there that it's difficult to ask for help. I think I was one of them. Like I didn't want to ask for help because I thought I had to do it on my own, just like everybody else. So how did you get to that?
It is hard to ask for help. However, one of the things that I did learn is my husband's really big at always invest in what matters. So for me, it was like I need to invest in having a business coach because that's what matters for our business. I need to invest in my marriage and do just getaways with my husband. So that thinking was what helped me to be able to reach outside of my comfort zone and say, hey, you know what? I really do need help. How to even do a financial spreadsheet? Like I don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
So to be able to reach out and ask for that help, it just helped empower myself, which in return was helping my business, my marriage, my family. It was just a domino effect. One of the other things is to be able to be in a group of a community where you help each other. So right now we are in a community group where it is just couples that own businesses in different parts of the state, and then we just get connected every 2 weeks, and we have these conversations, and it helps to just keep you in track on certain things that it's just everybody goes to different seasons in their business and their life, and depending on where you're at, you're able to kind of get those golden nuggets from that couple and say, oh, okay, that's what they did, so I can also apply that now.
That's cool. Okay, so grouping yourself with like people, or,
Yes,
or
people.
trying to run towards the same
Yes.
type of goal.
Finding community.
Yep,
Finding community.
yes,
There you
because alone it's really, I mean, you can get there, it would just take longer. Just always think about it that way.
Interesting.
If business is complex, different businesses are complex, but if you were to say find commonalities between other business owners and what makes a successful business, is there a general formula you would suggest? Is it the marketing? Is it the sales? I mean, how do you know what to prioritize and when in your
I
business?
think you would want to do your own research as far as to think, do I like this group? Do they have the same mindset? Are they in the same, goal? Like, are they in the millions or in the 200,000s? Like, you kind of want to see where, and then just kind of backing up on, talking in regards to that is, you always want to be with a group of expanders. So if your business is small, it doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot hang out with those that are making millions right now. Because in general, you will eventually learn and rub shoulders with them, which in return will help you. And not only that, but they'll have connections that you may need to be able to get there. So in my mind, I say, okay, hey, this group, they're all in the millions. They all have successful businesses. They all have 20 employees, and we have to deal with these different characters and personalities. How do they deal with that? So those are the people that maybe for you is like, oh, I'm not there yet. But if you just get yourself surrounded by them, you will learn things that you will be able to grow a lot faster in your business than if you don't. So just think about it. I'm already doing myself a disservice not being a part of that group. So I want to make sure that I connect with them and just be part of that community for them.
What's that saying? You don't want to be the smartest person in the room? Is that the saying?
I don't know that one. English as a second language is what I'm going to claim right now.
You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to
Surround yourself by
people that are smarter so that you can learn from them.
Yes.
And eventually.
And that's what mentoring is, right? It's not just about us mentoring others, but it's also allowing ourselves to be mentored and being capable of accepting that someone else has something to offer to us, that it's never a one-way street, it's always a two-way, right?
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it as well. Because sometimes people are not up for criticism. Sometimes we're just like, I don't really care about your feedback. I'm doing it my way. And that's maybe, I've seen that with older generation. It's like, what you youngsters are gonna tell me? And an example of that was with an old technician that we had and a younger one. And he was like, oh no, he's not gonna tell me how to do my job. I know how to do my job. But the younger technician comes with new tools and programming and new ideas that the older one, it'll cut your time in doing that repair in half. So we always have to be open to hear what somebody else has. You never know if it's gonna be wise, counsel at the time for you and just make your life easier.
That's why I like to hang around with younger women. I learn from all of you. I mean, sometimes I do put my spoon and this is what I do, or this is what I think.
Yes.
But every time I have a conversation or a connection, I feel that I always leave richer than I came in, because there's always a learning. Something that you say, something that you do, some thought that comes out in the conversation teaches me, and it makes me a better mom too, because I do have younger women in my household.
Bless your soul, Dalila. Bless your soul.
I love it. I'm not complaining. I mean, it's part of living, right? And this is why we do this Lucy, we want to put forth, we want to show how is it that the intergenerational conversations happen. And sometimes I talk too much, and you ladies need to learn to tell me, hey, it's my turn.
We love to listen.
No, I love to listen too, because I feel like I have a lot to learn still. But taking some of these tidbits of what you've done and what you've done has, like, it helps me get through certain situations. You know, it doesn't matter what age you are. And I think that's kind of cool that, like you're saying, if you don't put yourself in that place, you may never learn anything from there, right?
Yeah.
You're doing a disservice to yourself, right? If you think, and I think that's something I had to break. I think we talked about that during our leadership course, with something like, you know, I never thought I could go up to this VP. Like, I didn't think I belonged talking to a VP, but why not? They're just like me, right? I think that's the barrier that's hard to break sometimes, because you see people, you know, up there.
And always remember,
yourself.
Yeah.
everybody started somewhere. Nobody got to the top that fast and by themselves.
True. Very
So
true.
that should encourage you to know that, you know what, I may be here right now, but eventually I will be up there.
Yeah.
And then what is it gonna take for me to be up there? And every single day, do something that will impact your business to get to where you wanna get.
Yeah.
But every day, without skipping a beat.
Right. That's the hard part, right?
Just consistency.
Yeah.
And even if it's just a little bit, 1 hour. Maybe you don't have all day.
Mhm.
Maybe you don't have those 10 hours in your day.
Yeah.
But 1 hour a day will move your.
That's true. Your progress,
business.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell young people when I am with school age kids, you know, I tell them the thing about dreams is that you want to dream for the stars.
Oh,
You want to go as far as you can. If you fall short and you reach the moon, you still went far. You know, it's when we limit ourselves and we're just, okay, no, I'm just going to think of this because I think this is what I can do. And we leave every other possibility out. That's when we cheat ourselves.
I'm glad that you said that, because there was my high school teacher, the director of the Business Academy at North High School, that told me those exact words. Reach for the stars, just in case you fall short, you won't fall too low. And I remember that saying, and I mean, just the fact that you repeated it, I'm like, oh man, that was a seed that was planted many years ago, and I still hold on to that. So it's huge to be able to just have that, plant those seeds to all these youngsters so they can know that they can do it. They will be able to do it.
If no one opens the door for us, but if we keep knocking, eventually someone will. You know, but when we give up,
When we started our business, there was absolutely no insurance companies that would insure our company. Number one, we were high risk and I was way too young. And they said, we can't even give you a quote. And I would tell them, just give me a number. How much can I pay that I would be covered so I can be able to, you know, get more accounts? I need to have insurance. They were not even able to do that. And I thought, man, that's not gonna stop me. Like, I have to keep on going. So I continue to run the business without insurance. And until we were faced with a huge challenge where one of the vehicles was stolen, we had to tell the dealership and tell them, hey, our vehicle was stolen and we don't have insurance. Well, the owner of that company, I mean, of course he was furious. He was like, why don't you have insurance? And I told him the truth. Nobody will insure us. We're too young. And he said, oh no. He said, I will have my insurance broker call you, you will get insured, and you will have to pay for this car. And I said, I'm okay with that. And we'll work for you for however many years we have to be able to pay back that car. Luckily, in 2 days, you know, we actually found it and were able to give it to him intact. It was full of a bunch of stolen goods in the back. We were able to give him the car back, and we were able to obtain insurance. And after that, I was like, game over. I'm going for everything. And I literally just started going, you know, knocking on doors until I was able to create this large client base that I felt, okay, this is good enough where I can keep everybody busy and continue to acquire, you know, more accounts, more contracts, and, you know, stuff like that. But we will be faced with challenges that sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, this is over, like we're done. But one thing that I have always encouraged my students or anybody that I talk to or mentor is don't lose faith. Whatever it is that you're doing, don't give up. Don't give up. Even though all odds are against you, don't give up. Just get back up and keep on moving. Because if not, if you stay there, then you'll know that you never were able to get to where you wanted. But if you keep on moving, that's just going to be something that will make you stronger and, and encourage you that, yeah, you can do it. And there was even a time where we couldn't even get a bank account. They would just tell us, like, we get checks that are two-party checks, like attorneys, and they would say, no, we can't endorse two-party checks. And it was like, oh my gosh, so I had to go from one bank to another to another. I mean, they see a young woman, they're like, get out of here, and you're just so discouraged. But at the same time, you're just like, I can't take no for an answer. Like, I have to keep up moving forward. And then what ended up happening is I had to go through a community bank and just get that whole entire, and just show them that I was a legitimate business and that I wasn't gonna just, not be responsible in a sense. And just to be able to prove yourself was something that I felt it would have to be done over and over and over and over and throughout the years. And thank God, 15 years later, here we are.
Wow. Persistency.
Courage too, because for a lot of people, starting a business, it's such a scary thing, especially being, whether it's first generation or daughters of immigrants. There's so many barriers in your way. You're super at risk. Everyone is telling you you can't do it.
Yeah.
But you kept going. So I guess that's entrepreneurship 101. Believe in yourself. Keep going.
Amen.
Have the courage.
Yeah.
Have faith.
That's amazing. What a story.
Yeah,
because people just telling you no every day, really, it's hard. It's hard.
Yes, it can really break you down.
I bet. And
there was times that I did cry, and my husband's like, why are you crying? And it was like, because this and this. He goes, so what? And it was like, okay, you're right. So what? Let's keep on going, So it's very important to also have that support from your husband.
Yeah.
His attitude, it could have been that, yes, he was crushed with me,
Yeah.
but he didn't show me that.
Yeah.
He showed me that, it's okay, so what? Let's keep on going. And for him to be able to just show me that, I really felt encouraged.
Wow.
And I was like, hey, if you're good, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that that's how he feels. How he
He was
was
probably
feeling.
like,
He's like, oh, that worked. She's back up. Oh.
good.
But you see, now you are getting to know Lucy. Whenever I have had needs with my car, auto shops is not something that I am comfortable going into. Auto body shops can be very intimidating. There's always this myth of, they're going to cheat me, they're going to try to take advantage of me. I go blindly to Lucy. I have full trust on what they're going to do and how they're going to go business, because there is a lot of integrity that comes with you and what you do and how you present yourself. And that's inspiring to see a woman moving in that arena and to inspire that level of trust.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I always recommend you to anyone. And they say, oh, it's far. It'll be worth it.
It sometimes, it could be an inconvenience as far as distance. We've had customers from San Diego and LA, and I think, why would you guys come all the way out here? It's so far. But it's the same thing. It's like we just don't trust anybody. And one thing that we have told our employees is, if your mother was to walk in through those doors, how would you treat them? You would treat them with the best of the best. So that's every customer, especially women. I always say this is a female-friendly facility, which means we educate them, we help them, and we just had a customer. She broke her door pad. I don't even know how that happened. I think somebody leaned on me, and she's an older lady, and I mean, I told one of my guys, just fix it and send her on her merry way. She came in, she's like, how much do I owe you? And I said, nothing, don't worry about it. It's fixed. And if we replace it, then of course you'll pay for the part. But as for now, don't worry about it. It's fine. And she just looked at me and she's like, thank you so much. And I thought, if that was my mom, and she didn't have my dad around or anybody or my brothers, I mean, I would never want anybody to take advantage of her. So we have that same mentality, you guys, let's truly work with that integrity and know that, you know what, God will supply our needs. But right now there's somebody in need. So why not help that person? So that's one thing that we do try to always keep within our business, just keep those core values in there.
It sounds like you're really instilling a lot of great values within your team. Is there anything specific that you do with your team to build a culture or?
We do have a somewhat of like a family environment with our team. There's the main staff members, which are the ones that run the front, and then of course the technicians. So every year we just do something all together. My husband wanted to do the golf this year, and just stuff like that where it can bring us together, because being that we're in two different cities, sometimes like there's a little bit of the rivalry. Oh, Moreno Valley is doing better than Riverside, and they go back and forth. So like our numbers are higher, and it's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Friendly competition.
I really appreciate
Let's see who's
that.
best.
Yeah, I really
Keep it going,
appreciate
guys.
that. But when we come together, I think that that's something that truly does bring a little bit morale up.
Yeah.
In the second facility that you have, you don't just have the business there, you own the building, right?
No,
Oh,
we
okay.
have actually in Riverside we have 3 buildings,
Ah.
but we only do our front office from 1 building. The other 2 are just working buildings, because Riverside is very hard to get one big building because of zoned areas. So it creates a little bit of a difficulty to purchase a building for a body shop because of the zoning. In Moreno Valley is 1 large building, so that one's where we are able to it just flows perfectly in every.
So see, if there are young women out there who like cars, you don't have to be a mechanic. There are just so many different ways in which you can work with cars or for cars and still feel that satisfaction, right? That I'm doing something that I like. I am serving people that I want to serve, and I don't have to compromise my integrity. I can be the whole woman that I am and be in these spaces, even though women are not the majority here.
Yeah.
And get it moving.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just so
And if
awesome.
you don't know how to do something, I always say, hire people that are better than you. Always do that. Hire people that are better than you.
I like that.
Excellent. Yeah. So one of the things that we ask, and because we think of women as a whole, right, as I mentioned before, not leaving parts of you on the side, one of the questions that we ask is of our host or of our guest is to share with us their spiritual life. How does your spirituality influence your work, or how do you bring it on? How do you present it where you go?
Oh, yeah, spiritual life is very important. I do believe that we all have to have a balance in life, because I think as women in general, or even as business owner, it could be a male, our life is like going 100 miles an hour at times. And for me, my spiritual life is very important, because that's where I get my peace, where I'm able to just slow down and just kind of just have myself connected with God and just have that peace. It's just my security, I would say. I'm just a strong believer where, just you having a relationship with God is absolutely critical, because when times are tough, you do have to be able to have that, connection and say, Father, you're my Father. You love me. I'm your daughter. And the way I love my kids, I can't even imagine how much you love me, which is a never-ending love. So, and it's an unconditional love. So, that is truly what keeps me going. There's times that I think, when things were getting tough, maybe we should just sell the business. Maybe we should do this. But you know what? I have a big heart for the ministry of God, where I want to make sure that for the rest of my life, that whatever it is that I do business-wise, that I'm always able to compensate what I love doing, which is helping people in ministry, to grow their ministry, to be able to spread the word of God, to be able to, there's so many people that are hurting out there, that are in need of just some type of just hope, and they can find that in the things of God.
And that's the other piece that I admire and love about you. I mean, I've been out there in the world, sometimes people that have needs, and I have found families with children who have been in great need. And on those moments, my head does an inventory. Okay, who can us because I know I can't do it, but maybe I know someone who can do it. And I've come to Lucy and I said, look, this is going on with this family. There are these little kids. This is what they need. And Lucy has said, okay, let me see what I can gather. And she would give me whatever it is that her kids were not using anymore that was in good standing for those kids. But she also would open up her checkbook and said, here, buy something for them. And there is no, the trust, right? I feel very honored with the trust that you put in me because she's not asking for a receipt. She's not asking you to see. And it's like, okay, I'm going to help. And that's the true essence of helping, I think, what you practice. It's not that conditional, right? It's okay, they have the need. Here it is. This is how I'm going to do it. And that's where it stops. But it's your faith, your goodwill that takes you to those spaces. And it's just so inspirational. I thank you very much for saying yes, sharing with us. And I know my co-hosts are looking at me and looking at you and thinking, wow.
Yeah, I've taken a lot of notes today. Yeah, this was a great conversation. Some really great tips today that you've brought us. I really appreciate you joining us.
Even with your finances, I always tell people, hey, honor God, and you will not have lack. And I can promise that. It's in the Bible. You will not have lack. And a lot of people don't know that. And it's a very, very important part of our success that I can tell you.
That's awesome. And to what we usually like to ask too is if you have a quote to share with our guests and with us.
Oh, yeah. So, being that we've gone through so many crazy challenges, one thing my husband and I always say is like, we can do all things through Christ that strengthen us. So we do find our refuge and our strength in God. He is the center of our marriage, our business, and our relationships. So that's definitely something that my husband and I, we stand by. It's just always having that faith. We're on earth for only the amount of time that God allows us. So being that we're here, we will do what we can to make sure that we help and create this, atmosphere of kingdom-minded people.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. Yeah. And if anybody is nearby and needs auto shop,
yes. We do collision, and now we do mechanical. We do, just performance stuff, which is all the fun stuff. And yeah, we have that. And we also have a wholesale business of cars. So we've expanded the business, but our bread and butter is collision repair.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for joining Cafecito Con. We hope that we have inspired and enlightened you. And we are excited for you to join us again for another Cafecito Con here at Cal State University San Bernardino, Studio 54. Listen to previous shows as they are now found on our YouTube channel.
You can also listen to previous shows by visiting our Facebook page at Cafecito Con and click on the watch video button on the top right hand of our page. Feel free to comment.
We encourage you to follow us and keep listening. If you send us a message, do so via Messenger to our Facebook page or via Instagram at 2Cafecito Con. That is number 2 Cafecito Con, all in one word, 2Cafecito Con. Feel free to share and keep listening.